Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And as always, we give peace and salutation unto the elect. Start with the tabernacle of David, the 144,000, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, will be the government set up, all right, which is the kingdom of heaven, the fulfillment of the tabernacle of David, which will be with men on earth as it is in heaven. After them, you have the large multitude, the rest of the men, women, and children whom the Lord will have mercy on, okay, at the fall of Babylon the Great and Esau's beast system, all right, which will usher in the beginning of the kingdom of heaven. As the scriptures say in 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter and the 9th verse, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that follow it. All right. Anyone wondering when all of this hell will end and when the Lord will set up this kingdom we've always heard about, okay, which we didn't hear the truth of it until we came into the understanding, which is a blessing, which is a gift. Okay. That kingdom will come at the fall of Babylon the Great, which is controlled by Esau Edom. And we are currently living in Babylon the Great, which is ultimately suffering the same fate as the ancient Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire that fell, which that whole image has been rebirthed into the earth, okay, via a Renaissance period that has led to Babylon the Great, the NATO and the EU, all right, in which Esau has fulfilled his blessing of the fatness of the earth in the dew of heaven from above. He controls the resources. His policy walks throughout the whole planet Earth. He's been blessed with a great military sword, okay? And he's conquered. He's colonized. He's conquered. He's lied. And now we're at the very end of his kingdom and rulership, in which the scriptures say he's going to lose his damn mind and come down with great wrath, right? But there's various things that we are to look for to understand what times that we're in, all right? And when you get into these scriptures, you also have to be a student of history to some degree. You know, some brothers are deeper than others in the history. But you have to understand the history to know the mystery, all right? And understanding ancient Rome to a degree helps you understand that we are currently living in the revival of that system. So I want to play this, getting into some news and prophecy, where we go into the things that are happening in the earth and ultimately linking them to biblical prophecy to show you what times that we're in. If your teacher or your leader, all right, sidesteps prophecy, okay, and doesn't, give you insight on where you are according to prophecy, then you may be following a false prophet, man. Okay, the scriptures say, let's get that in the book of Jeremiah 28, in the duties of a prophet and what he is sent to do, all right, to speak the end into existence, man. This is the book of Jeremiah 28 and 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries. And is not America a great country? Okay. People think America is going to last forever. When you look at all of the ancient empires, they eventually fell. How much more this one? Now, people have come to some degree of understanding that America is going to fall, but they don't want to deal with the understanding of what's next, which is the kingdom of heaven, wherein righteousness will be spread throughout the planet Earth. So the prophets of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war. Okay, they say we're fear mongers. Well, the scriptures say through the terror of the Lord, we persuade men. Knowing what the Lord is going to do should get you in the spirit of repentance. Okay, it says of war, of evil, and of pestilences. And these are the things that are happening on the planet Earth. So if your teacher is tiptoeing around particular topics and don't want to really bring it out, then hey, you're following a false prophet, man. We're in the times of prophecy. We're in the times of speaking things more into existence. That's the job of a prophet. This is why our head apostle, Tahar, through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, of course, constantly harps on us speaking, because the prophet speaking, what does that do? That puts a vibration in the earth. We're here to speak the end of this great kingdom into existence. Okay, which Babylon the Great will not be healed. Okay, it's Jeremiah 51:8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. Okay, and what is a balm likened unto? The QE1, QE2, quantitative easing, all of this crap to try to fix the markets and the system, which we know the elites control it. And the Lord has blessed Babylon and Esau, Edom with the worst rulership and priesthood ever. They operate on a whole different frequency. Nothing makes sense. Okay, and they're trying to ensnare the whole earth. And when I say the whole earth, they're trying to ensnare the whole earth and have it under their control. They're trying to change the course of how even the sun operates. They're trying to change the course of the relationship between the sun and the earth. That's how deep they're going. They want to change the how your food gets to your fork. They're getting ready to try to digitize that system so that everything be on a grid. All right, so that they can be the most high. Okay, so the Lord is getting ready to destroy this place. It says, take balm for her pain, and this place is in pain. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even into the skies. And what does the scripture say? God hath remembered. Let's get that. Revelation, the 18th chapter. The Most High have remembered your iniquities. Because how was this place established? All right. Bloodshed, deceit, unrighteous decrees, rape, robbery, murder, lies, pseudoscience, and many more things, man. All right, let's go to Revelation, the 18th chapter. Because this is why this place is suffering this great, fate. Revelation 18:5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, speaking of Babylon, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled to her, fill her double. And double, I believe the priest Shaman went into it from the main camp up in New York. Whatever is written inside of a particular paper, once you seal it, that's double basically what's written. And we have the scriptures, we have the scrolls, we have everything that's written in these scriptures will be fulfilled. Okay, and you will be rewarded for your atrocities, man. Okay. Now, I wanted to go into this another part of this series with Mike Maloney. It's a very good series, man. You learn a lot. America or American bread and circuses. All right, this is where we are in the bread and circuses. That goes back to a term in ancient Rome, and he's going to explain it. But we even talk about it. You have the welfare system. Okay, then you have the circuses. You have the things that are what people think are freely given unto them, that are means of distraction. Okay, which are prevalent today here in this society. Okay, you have all of these the sports events, which are highly scripted. A lot of the boxing matches of late have been between YouTube celebrities. You got old Jake, who's probably damn near in their 50s, fighting. Okay, this is to draw attention away from what's really happening. The whole thing with Kyrie Irving, sports in general. Okay, these athletes are all bought and paid for. Okay, and used for the purpose of throwing people's mind off, because there is a war for your mind. I was also looking this article up. Maybe I'll go into it in another video, but behind NATO's cognitive warfare, battle for your brain waged by Western military. So there's a war for your mind through everything you see, everything that you see on this media, the music, the food, everything's a war for your mind. And the elect in these latter days have a mind to turn away from Esau. So he's pissed off and he's moving with fervency to try to establish his NWO. But let's play some of this video so that we can ultimately get into some scriptures and a few other articles, and hopefully you brothers and sisters who are sincere be edified.
In the previous episode, we started a timeline that chronicled the parallels between the ancient Roman Empire and the United States of America today. When we left off, the Roman Empire was deteriorating thanks to the inflation caused by deficit spending on war and public works.
And we see that happening here in America. Overspending, war everywhere, military bases set up everywhere. Got their nose put in, situations all over the planet Earth. Okay, overexpansion. All of these systems where, of warfare, everything, man, everything that this devil is doing is working against him.
Their government was constantly making things worse by meddling with their economy. Now, their empire was stretched to its limit and under constant attack from barbarians.
And the barbarians are, in these times, can be likened unto these different nations that are coming in. Okay. And the elite do it for, the government does it for their purpose, the free, cheap labor, of course, taking the children and doing all of their evil, but it's going to work against them in the end with all of these various different nations over here. The Lord is breaking up this system, but he's using even the policies that they have as a means to do that. And there's a lot of these nations that are being brought over here are agents that are going to be set up to start things and do things, man. So America is wide open for a right hand. It's through.
The ongoing cost of war, plus the huge amounts of deficit spending, was bringing Rome to its knees. Now we're going to continue our journey through to the fall of Rome and learn of more striking parallels with the United States along the way.
More striking parallels with the United States and Rome. Because according to prophecy, Rome would live again through a revival. Okay? Revelation 13, he exerciseth all the power. Let's get that real quick. Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And we sound like a broken record. We're going to bring out the same scriptures, the same prophecies, because the time is at hand. When you read about the walls of Jericho falling, our people sung the same song marching around a building, and the heathen were looking like, why do they keep singing this? Why do they keep blowing these trumpets? What are they doing? But that vibration led to the walls of Jericho falling, and that's the same thing that's happening here. That story can be taken in a symbolic sense of Babylon the Great. The great walls of Babylon are falling through the word. And I beheld another beast, speaking of America, coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb. And we've seen their two political systems, just like ancient Rome, be used for a means of drawing people to a false sense of freedom, for a false sense of a savior, for a false sense of, choice. And they came like a lamb, but now we see them speaking as a dragon, going back to an Athenian's lawgiver, Draco, who was known for his harsh methods of, laws, his harsh laws. If you didn't do something, there's harsh consequences behind it. And we're starting to see that. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused it the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. That's speaking of ancient Rome. So America is exercising all the power of ancient Rome. And we have various videos where we show you that even the Constitution goes back to ancient Rome. There's a video that I load. Let's see if I can find it here. Rome. Here we go. I'm not gonna play it, but This is the video. Okay, this is the video if it loads. It's 11 minutes and 14 seconds, and it's called, this thing loads, showing you we're in Rome all over again. The scriptures are on point. Okay, America is Rome all over again. Image of the beast speaking and living, because the average person like Zabak, Nate, General Yohana, they'll tell you the image of the beast is merely the image of Jesus Christ, so-called Jesus Christ, right? So that image of Sarat, the other white meat or whatever that is, that picture is just a speck of what the image of the beast is all about. Yeah, their religions, their philosophies all tie into the image of the beast, right? But the image of the beast is so much more than that. Okay, it deals with the ways of Rome and how they're prevalent today. Everything you look at, the eagle. Okay, everything that you look at, the calendar, the holidays. Okay, goes back to Rome. The use of Latin, because a lot of the English language goes back to Latin. Let's play this part real quick.
Many legal terms in use today, such as habeas corpus, in absentia, stare decisis, and others are taken directly from Latin.
Which goes back to Rome.
At the heart of Rome was its government. During the Republic era, a code of laws known as the 12 Tables were created, which protected the rights of all citizens. Roman law would eventually spread and become the foundation for numerous law systems throughout the world. Because of the 6th century Emperor Justinian, who collected all works of law and assembled them in a single doctrine, Roman law was preserved until modern day. In one form or another, it was the basis for most of the European law systems until the end of the 18th century, and even the English common law, which helped influence the U.S. Constitution.
See that? The U.S. Constitution is rooted in Roman law,
borrowed from the ancient laws of Rome. Even in America, founding fathers like Thomas Jefferson and John Adams hung on every word of Roman writers like Sallust, Tacitus, and Cicero, considering every character.
And Tacitus, in his writings, told you that the Jews existed, the Messiah existed. All right?
They wrote worth studying. George Washington was considered the Cincinnatus of America for his reluctance to hold power and his patriotism for his country. Because of this, many statues were created with Washington dressed in Roman-style clothing.
So you can watch that video because it goes into a lot, linking the parallels, These buildings, that goes back to the ancient Roman building. Even Petra, look up Petra, which is where Edom dwelt. So we found out who the Edomites are. It shouldn't be a secret. But let's go into this as well. So going back here, we see that this beast, which would be at the very end, Babylon the Great, would exercise all the power of the first beast before him. So Rome is technically ruling again through Babylon the Great. Real quick, another video. This is off of the 2 through an information page, which they terminated that page a couple of days ago, but I put in an appeal. I'm probably gonna have to end up making another one, but check this out.
But the truth is, Knights of Columbus, Opus Dei, Knights of Malta, Club of Rome, Council of 300, Council of Trent, Council on Foreign Relations, the list goes on. All of these are suborders of the Jesuit order, of the Holy Roman Empire, the rulers of today's Western world, the owners of the United Nations. America is their new world. Rome owns the world. Rome established a new world in which we live today.
Rome established a new world in which we live today.
The New World Order has already been in place since the mid-40s. The NWO is not coming. It's been here for a long time.
You heard that? All right. The NWO isn't coming. It's already here. And what is that? Ultimately, the power that Esau received via the Roman Empire, which is where he was at the height of his power, is now rebirthed into the earth, and now he has more room to play with. He has the whole earth. He has world domination, but he only has a little season. The scriptures say the joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. See? Let's get that. See if Blue Letter's pulling back up. Okay, he would only have a little season to do this. This is why he's moving with such, a great wrath. So he's trying to establish that Roman system he had, that fourth beast. Now he's trying to establish it worldwide in a technological sense. Okay? He's only going to be loose for a little season. All right, Revelation 20:3. Matter of fact, we'll go up 20:2. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. This is when the ancient Roman Empire fell, the Western Roman Empire, Esau's power system. It fell. For a period of 1,000 years, you had what is known as the Byzantine Empire. Some say 1,100 years, 1,000 years. It's spot on with prophecy. So this is the Most High taking Esau down on the earth. That Roman Empire, okay, Esau, Edom's power would fall, and he cast him into the bottomless pit, which is in the area of Europe. All right, the lack of resources. All right, which is why they had to, go and conquer all of these different nations and steal their resources. It says, and shut him up and set a seal upon him, meaning he ultimately couldn't do anything. He was bound to prophecy. He couldn't rule. He couldn't do anything. He was known as a caveman. He was known as a problem that people said, stay away from him. Don't even take your dogs around him. Okay? At this time, the Byzantine Empire, dark images of the Messiah, the disciples, were normal. All right. Now, Jake was going off. All right. They were heavily into Islam, the Moors. But they produced, some good things. But Esau wasn't able to rule. So it was a seal set up on him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. So this is that little season. And the 1,000 years right here, when you jump to verse 7, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan, and we know the 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, tells you there's a man who will come to do the bidding of Satan, the man of sin, whose coming is at the work of, he will be loosed out of his prison. And that is the Renaissance, which has led to Babylon the Great. The Renaissance started in around the area of Italy. It was the rebirth of Rome, right? And you had eventually the French, the Spanish, the British. Then you got Babylon the Great. So we're in his little season where he's trying to reestablish that Roman way worldwide. Anyway, I digress. I didn't mean to go into all of that, but here we are. All right. Just so for you who have ears to hear, this is where we are in prophecy, where his little season is going to lead to, it said he shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, which is going to lead to Gog and Magog in war, battle, World War III. Then he's going to try to come after the saints. And that's when that fire is going to come down from heaven. But we'll get into that at another time. Let's go back to the fall of an empire, America, bread, and circuses, and how it ties to that ancient Roman system, showing you we're back in Rome. The little horn that issued forth from the fourth beast in Daniel the 7th chapter. Prophecy is beautiful, man. At the end of your little season, boy.
The Romans were the first culture to have social programs. The Athenians had great public works, and they had the expense of war. But in Rome, they had the expense of all their great public work.
And the Athenians, that's Greece. the Greeks, because the beast system we are living in started with the Greeks. So the Greco-Roman beast system is back. And what did the Greeks do? Hellenization. They responsible for the gym, where that's prevalent today. But we're living in a time of Hellenization. That Draco, Athenian lawgiver, came from here. All right. But the height of their power and where they got the majority of their conquering came through Rome, the Roman Republic.
They had the expense of massive armies occupying foreign lands, and they had the expense of social programs.
It said they had the expense of massive armies, going to all of these lands, which America has the same thing in the book of Habakkuk. And it tells you that. Let's get that in Genesis, that he would be all over the earth. Genesis 27, this is Esau's blessing, when he cried for it, because he couldn't repent to get back in the graces of being the owner of the birthright. So this is his blessing. Genesis 27:39, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above, meaning you would control the resources of the earth, the oil and everything. And by thy sword shall thy live and serve thy and shalt serve thy brother. Okay? So you're going to serve your brother. Now that happened under David, okay? It's going to be fulfilled ultimately under the house of David, headed by Yahushua, which is already written. So you shall serve your brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion. So ultimately he uprooted from that captivity David had him under, because the Edomites were slaves at the time David was ruling. Right. So he got from under that, and he got from under that point in the Dark Ages, the Byzantine Empire, where he ultimately, the deadly wound was healed, the Renaissance period, which means rebirth. The rebirth of what? Rome. Okay. Thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So this word dominion. Okay. And he broke his yoke off of the neck at the time of David, and he broke the yoke at the time that deadly wound was healed. Okay, the Black Plague, which killed off 2/3 of Jake. We were weakened, and ultimately Esau had to fulfill his prophecy of being loosed. Okay, but that word dominion, let's read it real quick. That word dominion is rawad. All right, to wander restlessly, to roam, to be restless, to show restlessness, to be all over the place. Let's get that in Habakkuk. Now, this is speaking of the Chaldeans who were used to punish Jake. Well, these are the modern day Chaldeans. Habakkuk 1:8, their horses are swifter than leopards, their military, the leopard goes back to the Greeks, and are more fierce than the evening wolves. Their horsemen shall spread themselves, and their horsemen shall come from far. They shall fly as the eagle that hasted to eat. The eagle. All right, because this is talking about the Chaldeans of that time. But then when you get Isaiah 47, in 1, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. See that? The daughter of Babylon is also the daughter of the Chaldeans, which were the witches and warlocks who controlled the Neo-Babylonian Empire. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. And that's Babylon the Great. Okay? So they would go through the earth possessing in occupying dwelling places that weren't theirs. The same thing ancient Rome did. Let's go back.
The Romans were the first culture to have social programs. The Athenians had great public works, and they had the expense of war. But in Rome, they had the expense of all their great public works. They had the expense of massive armies occupying foreign lands.
Massive armies occupying foreign lands. All you have to do is look up U.S. embassies worldwide. They're everywhere.
And they had the expansive social programs. During the end of the Roman Empire, Rome's population was approximately 1 million people, and 200,000 of them, 20%, were receiving daily distributions of wheat.
20% of the people were receiving welfare, which we're in Babylon the Great. And there you go. The system, the power that be, all right, they've been giving out all of this welfare, which is causing hyperinflation, might I add, pumping all of this money into the system, giving away all of these things to collapse the dollar. All right. But we're going to get to the point where food will be rationed to you. At the end of the Roman Empire, let's read it, let's listen to it again.
During the end of the Roman Empire, Rome's population was approximately 1 million people, and 200,000 of them, 20%, were receiving daily distributions of wheat.
Daily distributions of wheat. Now, we know that prophecy in Revelation, the 6th chapter. Okay. Let's get that. Which goes into this dark time we're in, Revelation 6 and 6. And I heard in the midst of Revelation 6 and 6, and I heard in the voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see that thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Now, we broke that down in the last news and prophecy, or one of the last videos I did. All right, but ultimately, this is speaking of a system of enslavement. All right. And the money being inflated, okay, is going to lead to you needing more dollars to get less food. Then the system is eventually going to collapse, and they may set up a system, okay, to where they ration your food unto you. That's what's coming as they seek to digitalize, all right, the way food gets to you. It's all by plan, man. Okay. So, in the elect, or that oil and wine, the wisdom, is going to survive. Esau will never destroy that. And that's what he's seeking to do. But we're here again. Now, I want to go here real quick to this video off of the Common Sense Show, man. And I like this guy right here, man. He cracks me up because he's a complaining Edomite. He's pissed off at what he sees. But he brings it out. He brings out some good information.
Eat all your food, Johnny. Don't leave anything on the table.
Through.
Remember all the starving kids in China? Remember those stories we used to hear as kids? That was really true. They said China, Africa sometimes too. And I used to think, I remember we were doing a project, how to build a community in 3rd grade with our beautiful, I had such a crush on her, Miss Strong. And she quit teaching and went to be a flight attendant. I was heartbroken. I was an 8-year-old with a crush. But she used to tell us these stories about kids were starving to death in Africa and China and so forth. And I'm thinking, how did we get to be so lucky to live in America? Well, eventually the Grim Reaper comes around and visits everybody, and our Grim Reaper is here, and it's coming in the form of food shortages.
Our Grim Reaper is here, and it's coming in the form of food shortages. And it's being done systematically. I was reading an article. They say $22 billion worth of food is just sitting, not being moved. And the cover for why is the 19th century Crown Royale. That's just the front man of why they're doing all of these things. But the true reason is they got to establish that NWO. And they have but a short time.
And we're beginning to see it already. Jen Psaki has the perfect explanation. She's been setting the stage, and government officials
Let me see if I can get this to be louder.
Means people are spending money. Bullcrap. That's not economics. That's called cover your you-know-what. The other thing that we're looking at here is they're saying the shortages are good. People are buying things. Look how wonderful this is. Oh, it's great, 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 great. No, it's not. No, it's not. That doesn't answer why you can't get what you need. We have tried to get a dishwasher for 11 months. 11 freaking months. Some remodel on my bathroom. It's overdue now by 5 months.
Because the products aren't being shipped. They aren't moving. It's about to get bad, man.
How about you? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the supply chain. But what we need to be worrying about is the government's tired of it too. They have gone to another level. Psaki defends the food shortages, the empty shelves, by saying, people are just buying things, it's great. And then we had a bunch of other officials begin to tell the mainstream media, like, someone from Bloomberg. Her name's Kim. And Kim wrote, these food shortages, these product shortages, but most of the food shortages are due because the people are hoarding. And there's been more instances today in the paper. They're laying the groundwork, folks, in my humble opinion. They're going to ration food.
They're going to ration food. Okay? See, victuals were so dirt cheap right now that people think that they're in a good cause. The victuals, like we always bring up those 40 nuggets for $5, right? Big bag of fries. You think that you're in good case, which that's not real food. But what's happening behind closed doors is leading to what? Hyperinflation. And they're going to use these things. They're going to ration food unto you, which if you control the food, you control the people. Do you hear about the talks of them digitalizing how you get your food? You hear about that farm to fork? See, usually how food got from the farm to the fork was through these natural, these systems, in which in those systems the people could so say win. Now they want to digitalize that, how the food gets to your fork. And that's why the farmers have to go. Okay, the cattle are producing too much CO2. It's too much CO2 in there. And now nature is the issue. They're blaming nature. And we went into this in this article. Not this one. Well, this is a good one. But this, farm to fork, how the EU and Davos cabal plan to control agriculture. Do you realize what's happening? Everybody's laughing and playing. Do you realize what's happening? To give you a quick understanding of this system, let's watch this video, a little bit of it. And we'll go back to that, and then we'll ultimately get a few other things, and I'll just do another news and prophecy, Lord willing, today.
The consumer wants.
Imagine the possibilities when data enters the equation. Watch how the data moves. It starts on a cattle or a piece of livestock. A tiny chip can collect data about the health and location. It can see, listen, and collect intelligent information.
They are going to put chips in the livestock, man. They want everything under their control. How much is produced, how much is shipped out. They're in talks of even creating fake GMO animals that don't produce as much CO2. Plants that don't produce so much CO2. And move into more of a genetically modified way. See that? Read here on this article. They then get to the real agenda. We need to redesign our food system, which today account for nearly 1/3 of the global greenhouse gas emissions, consume large amounts of natural resources, result in biodiversity loss and negative health impacts. So they're saying the modern way, the ancient way of doing things in farming is causing negative health impacts. Now we need to, the change and redesign how we do everything from the farm to the fork. This is a clever way of demonizing farmers and our food production as CO2 violators. See? You got a certain amount of cattle. You got a certain amount of plants. Look, you're violating our CO2 rules. You got to shut down. You got to kill your cattle. You got to throw away your produce. You got to basically retire. The solution, new technologies and scientific discoveries combined with increasing public awareness and demand for sustainable food will benefit all stakeholders. What new technologies will be explained? Okay. It says, basically, and they're trying to do this by 2050, by forcing farmers to go bankrupt, by demanding new costly inputs to production and radical new genetically manipulated patented plants with unproven safety. Above all, they plan to lift the current de facto ban on green or gene edited plant cultivation. So you get the picture, man. They want everything in their hand. They want air in captivity, cattle, plants. Then they want to do away with the old ones and create a whole new world, man.
That data can then travel to the processing plant through distribution and logistics, then to the grocery store or restaurant, through that last mile, and even into a consumer's home.
So they want to control how food goes from the farm to your fork. Digitalize it. They want a digital transformation of the food chain supply, and they want control of everything that is produced and everything that is eaten.
Farm to fork has been changing dramatically with the introduction of technology.
So the Internet of Things in the supply chain is, in my opinion, fascinating because it's really a data supply chain now coming alongside the actual food and agriculture production supply chain.
Some are calling it Supply Chain 4.0, which is simply a term for when the Internet of Things, robotics, and artificial intelligence are used to automate each step in the supply chain.
I think that what people have recognized is that through digital transformation, the food system can become more streamlined, it can become more effective. The things that we never thought possible in terms of, I'll just give you an example, of repurposing waste, food waste, which is a huge issue, and then turning it into something that is actually productive, can now happen because we understand better from the...
Man, nigga. Let's get Habakkuk too, man. This dude is out of his mind. So nature is pretty much going to be out of the man, they got a lot of plans, man. And they be talking about this stuff and it sometimes goes over our head, but these people are, this man's philosophy is crazy. Habakkuk 2:5, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, he's all over the place, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is his death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Let's read this in the NLT. See how that's worded. Habakkuk 2:5. Wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest. They open their mouths wide as the grave, and like death, and they are never satisfied. In their greed, they have gathered up many nations and swallowed up many peoples. And through controlling the food, they're only going to go further in their plan to be the Most High God. See?
The time that the product is produced, actually.
So they're gonna have control. The dirt will be digitalized. The seeds will be digitalized. The plants, the animals, everything will be tracked.
Grown, produced, moved through the supply chain, lives its useful life at a retail location, and then is to be disposed of, can now all be tracked.
For the food industry, it offers opportunities to improve communication on the farm, automate production at the factory, do predictive shipping, automatically record transactions, track products from production through to the shelf, record the quality of the food, monitor spoilage, and automatically do last mile delivery.
All in the name of CO2 destroying, or we got global warming, all of this crap. You got to watch this devil, man.
They're laying the groundwork, folks.
They're laying the groundwork.
They're going to ration food.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to ration food.
They're going to ration food.
They want to control the food because I think they're afraid that people are waking up to what they're doing, the tyranny.
And people are waking up, so the only thing they can do is use these, the God-given, take away your God-given rights, and ultimately, by controlling the food, you get people to obey you. There's so much I want to say, but I'm going to leave it alone.
People are standing up. No more critical race theory, that kind of stuff. I think we're coming to a loggerhead. I truly do. I look at this story. They get control of all the food. They control who lives and dies.
If they get control of all the food, they control who lives and dies. But anyway, I went off on a little tangent. Let's go back here.
Dozen of them, 20% were receiving daily distributions of wheat. That's welfare. As their empire decayed, Roman leaders employed a tactic called bread and circus to keep the public distracted and placated. The bread refers to the free grain, also known as the dole, and
the free grain, the welfare in this time. And people think that the system is all right because you got these systems where, you get this type of loan. If you get food stamps, you get extra food stamps. You get this, you get that. You get this. Then you got the bread, and then you got the circuses. Okay, these particular gladiators performing in the Colosseums. And people love them some damn football and basketball. Not that we don't watch some of these things. I'm not into it like I used to be. I look at highlights here and there. But it's all watered down and fake, man. It's all BS now. All right? But, you're not wicked if you look at a little football, basketball. I mean, we hear, Paul alluded to boxing and stuff like that in his writings. They're showing you they were in the Greco-Roman Empire. They saw it. We're here too. It's just that we don't allow these things to distract us from what's really going on, as they're intended to distract you from what's really going on.
As their empire decayed, Roman leaders employed a tactic called bread and circus to keep the public distracted and placated. The bread refers to the free grain, also known as the dole, and circus translates to the games that would be held here in the Colosseum, with free food, wine, and rather violent entertainment.
Free food, wine, and rather violent entertainment. Now here in America, you go to the Coliseum, you're going to be paying $12 for a hot dog. See? Or some nachos with some fake cheese on top of it. With some GMO peppers. Add some extra peppers and some chili. Damn near $12, $15 for a beer. I mean, these people are getting you on all ends, man.
I find it absolutely fascinating to try to imagine what was happening here nearly 2,000 years ago. These seats would have been filled with people eating and drinking. Many would be yelling for their favorite gladiator, and a good portion of the audience would have been mindlessly drunk.
Ain't we here today? We just seen two gladiators, Wilder versus Fury, and Wilder got his ass beat, right? We see the Colosseums built everywhere, and when these emperors saw that the Colosseums kept the people's mind off of what was really going on and distracted them, they built more. And where are these Colosseums primarily built? in the places where Jake dwell.
The emperors and elite watching from up on high? What a scene. So the Colosseum is a great example of both the huge expense of Roman public works and the endless deficit spending they carried out to pay for supposedly free stuff. But is there such a thing as a free lunch?
Nope.
Breads and circuses give away oil, give away grains, and give away wine, and people would love you. They conquered Egypt. By golly, that was a lot of grain you could give away. But what it did was destroy the economy. And when you put in the taxation to pay for it all, what it did was destroy the small farmer. And so the wealth creation that would enable you to do these things.
It destroyed the small farmer, or not the small farmers being destroyed today? Just look it up. Small farmers going out of business. That was in 2020. 1/3 of small farmers say they face bankruptcy. I tried to prove that small family farms are the future. I couldn't do it. They for to take all of that away. All right, they want everything to be on their grid. Okay, they want the genetic makeup of what's farmed and what's produced to be able to be tracked all the way to your stomach. So that's why they made it's illegal for you to just start your own crop. These are God-given rights that have just been destroyed, and they're destroying these farmers, man. Black Louisiana farmers, land leases, advantages, some say. And you could, do more research and get more information on that. But yeah, the farmers are going out of they're buying them out or putting them out of business, making them destroy their, crops and everything.
Went by the boards, and so it became a vicious cycle.
So now let's continue filling in our timeline from the previous episode so that we can keep track of where we are in the story. Welfare, bread, and circus were basically distraction tactics used by the ruling elite who would offer promises of free stuff to ingratiate themselves with the public.
Biden.
There's a famous quote from the satirist Juvenal who summed up the situation very succinctly. Give them bread and circus, and they will never revolt. The citizens felt like they were getting these things for free when they were actually paid for by a crushing double blow of continuous currency debasement and increased taxation.
Don't you see the increased taxation? Don't you see the debasement of the currency? Well, now, you're needing more money to get less.
In the end, the only way that the Roman rulers could enforce this tax collection was by doubling down on their stifling bureaucracy. The size of their government compared to the private sector exploded. Business became incredibly difficult, and many simply gave up. Steve Forbes just mentioned how difficult the situation became for farmers, or husbandmen as they were referred to in the past. Here's a quote that backs that up from Lactantius around 300 AD. There began to be fewer men who paid taxes than there were who received wages, so that the means of the husbandman, being exhausted by enormous impositions, the farms were abandoned, cultivated grounds became woodland, and universal dismay prevailed.
Universal dismay prevailed, all right? People started to lack resources, and we're here, all right, with that word perplexity. And it's only going to get worse. And we ain't just telling you this because we have fun telling you, no, it's going to get worse. We are in Rome all over again. Okay, and Biden is taxing the hell out of everybody. They want They want dibs on everything. They want to know what's in your account. They're tracking everything. They're looking at it because they're getting ready to set up a new system. And food will be rationed unto you. Okay? Forced labor or for particular jobs, or you have to work this job to get food, to get money. As the economy crashes, to build back better.
All of these tourists go through the Colosseum here, all amazed at the ruins of a great civilization. And I have to ask myself, are they asking themselves, what happened to these people? Why did this thing fall into ruin? Everybody goes and they buy these trinkets at the gift shops and postcards and books, and they have their pictures taken here and there. I don't think any of them are thinking about the fact that most countries on the planet are doing exactly the same thing today.
Right.
Most of what Americans know, I fear, is what movie stars are doing, what sports stars are doing, and what occurred on the last installment of Jerry Springer or some.
You see that? The wealthy nation that dwelleth without care. Let's be this as Isaiah. What's that? Give me 1 second here. That people are eating, drinking, being merry. Jeremiah 49:31. Arise, get you up unto the wealthy nation that dwelleth without care, saith the Lord, which have neither gates nor bars. This is that wealthy nation, man. Okay. Matthew 24:37. But as in the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating, drinking, actual people, actual human beings, right? Not angels, eating and drinking, marrying and giving into marriage until that day that Noah entered into the ark. So we're in the same times. Okay, as people are dumbed down to the point where they don't see what's going on around them. And the bread and circuses are even heightened. It's a whole nother level of witchcraft that goes along with the bread and circuses of this modern Roman Empire.
Some other reality show. And the food stamps are not even food stamps anymore. They give you a credit card that you can buy your food with so that you look like you can actually afford to eat as opposed to living off the dole. It's very similar.
People's relationship to money in a country like America, the biggest economy in the world, is based entirely on the benefits they get from consuming and consumerism. And right now, you have an era of popularization of drugs that are being used, like Prozac and other drugs, that people are taking massive quantities of while they're consuming popular culture for instant gratification. So instant gratification enhanced by drugs with a consumer culture with easy credit. So people are literally high all day long.
All day.
They're consuming, they're on drugs, they've got cheap sugar, they've got cheap high fructose corn syrup in America thanks to the massive government subsidies. So they're basically spinning their tits 24/7, 365. Now, as soon as that value proposition changes,
watch,
and you're not getting high as easily as you did yesterday, the cost of getting blitzed out of your skull on cheap drugs, cheap sugar, and cheap entertainment tips to an actual cost where you've got to actually put in a day's labor, then you're going to see social unrest. Then you're going to see real change because those people suddenly are going to be facing reality without the benefit of being on drugs.
Luke 21 brought it out last video. You people are fit to catch pure hell, man. And Lord willing, the elect, we be covered, man. Luke 21:25, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon. We see that. And in the stars, the chariots, the eclipses, all sorts of things happening, right? you got particular galaxies sending down frequencies, and these devils are scared. They don't know what to do. And upon the earth, the stress of the nations with perplexity, and the sea and the waves roaring. Men's heart failing them for fear and for the looking after those things which are coming upon the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. The elite. Now, that word perplexity, we showed you in the last video, aporia, the state of one who is perplexed. What does it say here? To be without resources. Okay? To be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, to not know which way to turn, to be at a loss with oneself, to be in doubt, not to be able to decide what to do, to be perplexed. This is where we are. Mentally, people are going to be perplexed. People are already perplexed by the squeeze that's coming with this this Biden sauce, right? This is off of RT News. Think rocketing inflation is bad. Now we're facing a catastrophe that will make the Great Depression look like a walk in the park. This is where we are. I mean, you can look this article up and read it. You know, we don't have to go too far into it, you know, but it said, what does it say? Prices in Western economies continue to skyrocket, whether in real estate. It's hard to find a place to live on at a cool amount. Stock markets, cryptocurrencies, food, consumer goods, or energy. We are constantly seeing a massive price increase due to inflation that far outpace wage growth. So we're living at a time where it's going to take more of that empty money to buy less, to have less. It's going to be, look how much it is for a 1-bedroom apartment. Now, when I first moved out here to Texas, I, got a 1-bedroom, and it was pretty nice. That was the camp house. That was the first camp house we had, and that thing was around $595 a month. That was in 2006. That same apartment, okay, if you go back over there, is around, I believe, $1,100 to $1,200 for a 1-bedroom. See, maybe 1,000, but everything's going up, and this is a sign of inflation, which takes us back to ancient Rome. One of the main indicators that a economy is getting ready to crash, that a fall is coming. Okay, let's see here. I mean, you can read this, on your own. Let's see here. So like we said, Ezekiel 4:16, moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, because you Jakes are going to be affected by this. And this goes back to ancient Babylon, the Neo-Babylonian Empire, but this is happening again. He's going to break how you get your bread, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment, meaning your food's going to be rationed unto you. This is what the Babylonians did, and this is what the new Babylon is going to do. And it's systematically that they're doing this. Ezekiel 4:16 in NLT, Son of man, I will make food very scarce in Jerusalem, and it will be weighed out with the great care and eaten fearfully. The water shall be rationed out drop by drop, and people shall drink it with astonishment. Lacking food and water, people will look at one another in terror, and they shall waste away in their punishment. So, like we said in the last video, judgments are being prepared, man, for the wicked. Okay, now we're going to be, in the midst of this all. But as we read in Revelation, the 6th chapter, the oil and the wine is going to be managed, taken care of, man.
Here inside the Rodon factory in Pennsylvania, they're cranking out more than 450 products including these small plastic parts vital to the...
So Christmas is going to be different this year. Toy shortage warning for holiday season.
Connect's building set. The toy maker Basic Fun is gearing up for an unpredictable holiday season.
Try to shop early because I think it's going to be very difficult coming through after Thanksgiving.
Items like tape, paper, and pallets that used to take 3 weeks to arrive now take 6 to 10 weeks.
You only have control of so much. What we can do is look at all the available material on hand. How can we turn it?
And what's the front man for this all? Crown Royale 2019. You know what I'm talking about. Whew. And this is where it's all going to lead to, man. U.S. regulators want the crypto out of cryptocurrency because that will help them use it to control your every move. And this is what it's all leading to, that whole digital system, CBDCs, or central bank digital currency, digital food, and you'll be linked into this grid. Wow. There needs to be some long articles with good information. But let's listen to this guy. Look like he's going to say something effed up.
Our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
Why in the hell can't you camp see it? Why can't you see what's happening? Wow. Wow. They want everything to be monitored. How will they do that? This system that's being set up. Wow. Did you hear what he said? We don't know who's using a $100 bill today, and we don't know who's using a 1,000 pesos bill today. The key difference with central bank digital currency is the central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that determine the use of that expression of central bank liability, and we will have the technology to enforce that. He bragged in October. But the people ain't enraged. I guess somebody put this on Twitter. The people ain't enraged by this video. And Israelites, they don't know what the hell is going on. You Israelite camp leaders, man, you still running around talking about the MOB as a philosophy, nigga? You crazy. We right here, man. Because this new Rome would do something at the very end of it that's written in verse 16 and 17. Read it on your own. You see it on the screen. Where you're seeing this be brought right before your eyes, man. Now, if they're talking about doing it to the cows and the plants, what in the F do you think they're gonna do to you? Isaiah 47:15. Thus shall they be unto thee, whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one into his quarter, none shall save thee. Let's get that in the NLT. And your friends, those with whom you've done business with since childhood, will go their own ways, turning a deaf ear to your cries, because Babylon is getting ready to collapse. And a whole new system is going to be, brought out of it. But what does the scripture say? When he is about to fill his belly, because this is where he is in prophecy. His little season is just about up. Okay? Man, I would like to read this in an NLT. I got an NLT angel on me. Not a demon, an angel. Job 20:15. They will vomit the wealth they swallowed. God won't let them keep it down. They will suck the poison of cobras. The viper will kill them. They will never again enjoy the streams of olive oil or the rivers of milk and honey. They will give back everything they work for. Their wealth will bring them no joy, because their wealth is going to be a witness against them. James. For they oppressed the poor and left them destitute. They foreclosed on their homes. Damn. They were always greedy and never satisfied. Nothing remains of all the things they dreamed about. Nothing is left after they finish gorging themselves. Therefore, their prosperity will not endure. In the midst of plenty, they will run into trouble and be overcome by misery. Okay? Go back to the King James for this one. Job 20:22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, and every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And this word for wicked is aimal, laborer. The people are going to rebel against his ass, man. Because he prided on having control of the people's minds. But people are now like, wait a minute. So he's losing control. The info war, he's losing the info war. And this is the fullness of his sufficiency. The word sufficiency is sapak, hand clapping, mockery, meaning they're doing this, all of this in secret and playing games with your minds, but really they're trying to set up the NWO and mocking you. So in the fullness of him getting ready to finish what he's going to do, he's going to be catching hell, man, and a lot of back in rebellion. Even with the juice, he's already catching rebellion. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So this is where you devils are on your way to, man. So Lord willing, y'all were edified. On to the next. Shalom.